More insight into why from Giorgio Cafiero, who is the CEO of Gulf State Analytics. He joins me here in the studio. Giorgio, shocking or expected?
You know, this news came as quite a surprise to many people. Many developments in Iran tend to do that these days. I think this situation could move in many different directions, and it's very difficult at this early stage to predict how this will impact Iran's internal as well as external foreign policy. But at the same time, we need to keep in mind that there's an important struggle going on between hardliners in Iran as well as moderates who favor more engagement with the West. If the foreign minister does not reverse this resignation and he does indeed go, that will definitely be yet another sign of the IRGC consolidating its power even more in Tehran.
Is it possible he will reverse this?
You know, he is an extremely popular figure in Iran. His approval ratings are higher than those of the president, and many Iranians support him for many, many different reasons. We need to keep an eye on how the public is going to respond. If there is a lot of outcry, there could be pressure on him to reverse this decision. If that happens, he will certainly come back with more authority, and he'll certainly have a lot more legitimacy.
If he doesn't, however, what is the impact on Iran, and what's the regional impact?
You know, this will be a big boost to the hardliners. Many of them are affiliated with the IRGC, and they have and they have a big incentive to make sure that Iran's banking system remains very opaque. This will bode poorly for the future of Iran's relationship with Western countries, especially European countries. Probably if the IRGC can continue to consolidate power, we're going to see Iran turn away from the West and really turn more to China and Russia, making much more of a pivot eastward, reversing the efforts from a few years ago when Rouhani was really intent on improving Iran's relationship with European and North American countries.
It was kind of a cryptic message that we saw. He apologized for his shortcomings, but what do you think precipitated this?
There are so many factors in play. Indeed, it's notable that the resignation was on Instagram. It was terse, the way he put it. We need to also keep in mind that the Syrian president, whom this regime in Tehran has backed so much in recent years, was paying a visit to Tehran, and Zarif was not involved in that meeting. At the same time, shortly before he announced his resignation, he was meeting with a US-based anti-war group called Code Pink. I think Zarif is being vague on purpose, but one thing I'll say, though, is I don't think this is the end of his career in foreign policy. I think he could remain a very influential figure, and he could certainly help improve relations between the U.S. and Washington, albeit not before January 2021 at the soonest. But he was a very important channel between the U.S. and Iran. And since 1979, there have been very few solid channels of diplomacy between the two capitals. So if he does go, that will certainly tell us a lot about how things are changing in Iran. But again, I would not conclude that this is the end of his influence as a very important figure in the Iranian regime.
All right, Giorgio Cafiero, appreciate you laying all that out for us. Very, very complex, and it sounds like there's a lot of implications there if he does indeed. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.